Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Jumarni from Class B English Education 2019. So through this PPT PDF file, I would like to explain some points about the summary in chapter 3. The title of this chapter is The Present and Informed Approach. Let's see the table contents of this chapter. This chapter 3 divided into 2 sub-material and then also divided into 6 subject followed. The first sub-material is an enlightened eclectic approach. The second is communicative language teaching, and then the subjects followed are the first is learning-centered instruction. The second is cooperative and collaborative learning. The third is interactive learning. The fourth is whole language education. The fifth is content-based instruction. The sixth is task-based instruction. Now let's start in the first point. The first is an enlightened eclectic approach. Our approach to analytical methodology is a theoretically well-informed global understanding of the teaching and learning process of learning and teaching. There are 2 reasons for variation at the approach level. They are: the first is an approach is by definition dynamic and therefore subject to some tinkering as a result of one observation and experience. The next point is research in second language acquisition and pedagogy that are not conclusive but subject to interpretation. The next, let's talk about communicative language teaching. All of these theoretical interests underline what we can best describe as CLT. For the sake of simplicity and directness, we offer the following 6 interconnected characteristics as a description of CLT. The first is classroom goals are focused on grammatical discourse. The second is language technique. The third is fluent and accuracy. The fourth is using language productively and receptively. The fifth is students are given opportunities to focus on their own learning process. And then the last point is the role of teacher is that of facilitator and guide. Next, we will compare about 2 points. In this point, a comparison of the audiolingual method and communicative language teaching. Both are very important or has the same high importance in approaching in learning and teaching process. So the first point is audiolingual is a method for foreign language teaching which emphasizes the teaching of listening and speaking before reading and writing, while communicative language teaching is a language teaching approach based on the linguistic theory of communicative competence. So both are different but has the same important position in approach level in teaching and learning process. Next, let's talk about learner-centered instruction. There are 2 kinds of instructional models. The first is teacher-centered and the next is learner-centered instruction. Okay, the learner-centered instruction includes: the first is techniques that focus on or account for learners' need, style, or goals. The second is technique that gives some control to the student. In this case is group work or strategy training. For example, curricula that include the consultation and input of students and that do not presuppose objectives in advance. And techniques that allow for student creativity and innovation, and techniques that enhance a student's sense of competence and self-worth. Next point is about cooperative and collaborative learning. Cooperative and collaborative learning is a teaching and learning strategy where students are grouped together to scrutinize a particular assignment or topic to maximize their own and each other learning. While cooperative learning is where teams of students with various abilities and skills work together on different activities to learn about a subject. There are two kinds. The first is groups will stay together for weeks, months, or years, or group should be two and group should be two until five people in size. Actually, this 2 point is the requirements of cooperative learning. And then the last point is collaborative learning is commonly illustrated when groups of students work together to search for understanding, meaning, or solution, or to create an artifact or product of their learning. Next, about interactive learning. Interactive learning is a pedagogical approach that incorporates social networking and urban computing into course design and delivery. Interactive learning has evolved out of the hyper-growth in the use of digital technology and virtual communication, particularly by students. Next, there are 3 points of whole language education. The first is most popular terms currently sweeping through our profession. Whole language has been so widely and divergently interpreted that it once had. The second is language should be taught as a whole. And also the last is it was developed to help young children learn how to read and write in a natural way as the same way they learn their native language. Next point, let's talk about the content-based instruction. According to Brinton, content-based instruction is the integration of context learning with language teaching aims. More specifically, it refers to the concurrent study of language and subject matters with the form and sequence of language presentation dictated by content material. The last point of this present and informed approach is task-based instruction. While there is a good deal of variation among experts on how to describe or define task, Peter Kahans in 1998, page 65, concept of task seems to capture the essentials. They are 1. Meaning is primary. The second is there is some sort of relationship to comparable real-world activities. The third is there is some communication problem to solve. The fourth is task completion has some priority. The fifth is the assessment of the task is in terms of outcome. The sixth is a task is really a special form of technique and task may be synonymous. The seventh is task-based instruction is not a new method. And the eighth is task-based instruction is a perspective within a CLT framework that forced the students to carefully consider all the technique that you use in the classroom. Teacher in this point. So that's the last of the summary. Thank you so much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.